for about 6 times. We did about 6 laps of it before someone went, "Oh, I think you're supposed to be here." That's my con experience so far.
That's the normal con experience.
Yeah, I know this. I know the outside of this place, like the back of my hand.
Excellent.
The convention center.
Yes.
Yes.
So you've now gone from playing your 2 most prominent roles, basically the ultimate good guy,
Right.
and the ultimate bad guy. Who has more fun?
I'm gonna stop you from running away there with the idea of the ultimate bad guy. Although I see exactly why you said that, but I would say that it's a little bit dangerous to label Damien purely as a bad guy. He is one of us, and he has good and bad decisions within him. He has that capacity to make those decisions. But ultimately, it gets harder to make what are perceived as good decisions because of the baggage of being the Antichrist, which is a pretty dooming fate. But I would say the 2 characters in question, what I've been very fortunate with is that they are so different, and been a lucky boy there, because you get to mix it up. Variety is the spice of life.
Well, the relationship between both your characters, Anne and Damien, is, I won't say dubious at best, but very intriguing. We were talking before that we didn't really know how to interpret some of what we saw in just this recent episode.
Yeah.
I think that was made it so interesting for us, is that it's not cut and dry. We don't really know where Anne's going. We know where she's from, but we're not sure where she's going.
You know where she's from?
Well, we know. We have some idea. We do know what's been said, but the way it's developing with Damian and what he's no doubt going to find out about her is very intriguing. Are you finding that as like a really driving character for you as part of the story?
Your question is what, sorry?
Are you finding that as a compelling piece of the story going forward? The relationship between the 2 so far?
Oh, very much so.
Yeah. Me for sure.
Barbara's a joy to work with. And it's incredible. But in terms of the way Glenn's written the 2 characters as well, I'm pleased that you have no idea I'm pleased that you're not able to pinpoint what that relationship is, and that's the joy of it. I think that's the joy of having someone like Barbara, is that you have that facility of a very wide range of what that relationship could be.
It was fun reading the scripts too, because I didn't know where the character. When you take a show as a series as an actor, it's a grab bag. Because, and you take a film or even a miniseries, you have a beginning, middle, and end, you know where it's going. You get general strokes, but really, we don't know any more than you guys know, except as we were reading it, we were finding out as well. And the stuff kept coming that was so fascinating, and of course I called in, I'm sure you did, and we talked about it. And then a lot of it's just what happens between us also on the set, which was unexpected and not always programmed. And so, the truth is why it's mysterious and you don't know, and is because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different things going on, and it's a lot of fun to act that and be in that spirit with Bradley, and we're both having fun.
I'm having fun.
So one of the things I've noticed really about Anne is that a lot of what she does towards Damian, it seems out of a place of love and genuine care for him, even if we genuinely sometimes worry about what she's doing towards Damian and driving him towards becoming the Antichrist, and we worry about what that means.
Right.
And a lot of what is happening around Damian and killing of these people, it seems to be almost coming out of a place of love too. There are people around Damian who could injure him in towards his path, and it seems to be coming out of a place of love. And in Scripture, a lot of what the devil does is a twisted form of love, and I think a lot. And as opposed to, I can't remember, Todd, was that?
Todd.
No, it wasn't
Tom?
Todd.
Tom?
No, I had
Todd on the escalator.
No,
the escalator.
It is a Todd.
Tom?
No.
Tony.
No.
Toby.
It is with a T. No.
Timothy?
I know it very well.
The T. It's always Fred.
No, I can't think of it either now.
I thought it was Todd. It was no offense, Todd, but you're a moron. Well done on that line, by the way.
Jack will great line to
But
get to act.
him and everyone else seems to, they were talking about how Damien was an animal and they were going to break him and they were
Right.
going to do this out of a
Can't have that.
more of a vicious place. They were going to do things out of a vicious place and seems to be cultivating this out of a love. And I wanted to know your interpretation of kind of this kindness, kind of killing him with kindness.
She does love him. She loves him on lots of different levels. And, and it's a huge factor for her. But she also has a belief system. And in her belief system, it's as if, you had a very religious Catholic person who believes something fervently and is the same way, except it's on the other side. She's very passionate about it. What was the question?
Oh, it was mainly that it's all being driven out
You
of
essentially
the,
were able to elaborate on her point. You
Yes,
did very well.
yeah, okay, good.
You kind of, nailed
okay.
it on the head.
Okay.
so it's coming out of like a religious fervor, but it's all those different
Well, it's
levels.
lots of levels,
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on.
To sort of refine that, like, how does one love the agent of destruction?
Well, it depends, but those words are very stacked. I mean, what the apocalypse, the real meaning of the word apocalypse means revelation. Lucifer means bringer of light. Demons in Roman times were muses and bringers of knowledge. The apple in the Adam and Eve story is knowledge. So she believes that this is an age of enlightenment, not that the Christian, the version of the Bible is their PR. But the reality is something else. It's bringing it to a different level. And I've never explained that before. But it's really interesting to look at it from a different door, which is what I'm doing. And if we can unhook ourselves from the adamancy of that story and look at it through this different door, it's very interesting. It's kind of fascinating.
Talking about layers before, one of the things with Damian, I like are those moments when he's embracing the darkness as opposed to shying away from it. And I don't know if that's fun to play. Somebody saying, "Okay, I have something going on here. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to embrace it a little bit for this shade of the cop."
Which one? Have you seen, how many episodes?
I've seen 5.
Oh, you've seen 5, so
I've
you
seen
must be
5.
talking about episode 4.
4, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, where Damien is, the cop threatens him and Damien comes back.
You're not going to give spoilers to people, are you?
It's airing Monday.
In fact, they're airing half of it today, aren't they?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Spoil away.
I mean, that's the joy of the character, is that it's not just evil. It's not everybody's perception. Essentially, it's a human being. It's one of us. It's the vast number of colours that are in our palettes, which I'm sure are in yours. And those moments as an actor just become part of that. If it was all that, you'd be like, oh, well, this is getting a bit dull. But it's not all that. And so when you get the little hint of those moments, it's like, oh, great, I get to try this out. And I think with those moments in particular, it's an indication of what we feel is to come. And so that's I think what perks the excitement, is because you're like, oh, I just saw a little glint of what I think is the Antichrist there, or there's something that leads towards it. So sort of a bubbling under the surface situation. And in that particular situation, Damien's backed into a corner, and as a lot of us do, we use what we can at our disposal to get ourselves out of that corner, and he just has a moment of embracing it, going, fine, I'm going to play this game, because he's pressed hard before that. It's a while before he turns that on. It's not like he just turns up and is like, by the way, it's push, and then he's like, fine. and yeah, it's that indication of what it could become. It's the potential of what it could become.
Well, it's interesting because to tie in on that, with this particular show, we're seeing Damian as a friend of the viewer. You know, we can relate to him. He's another guy. You know, he's doing his job. He's good at it. You know, it's all that relatable. And then we find out, oh, you know, there's more to it. Like you said, it's under there, and we're going to see it. Are you finding it as a challenge to portray the Damien that we know, you know, as one of us, versus what's coming, no doubt, and that fight that you have against this supernatural, almost this other, and kind of making sure that we don't lose our affection for our Damien that we know?
It would be. I don't think it'd be any fun if it wasn't a challenge, and so the challenge is always just to get the truth out of it, and the truth is often what you relate to as a person, as an actor. What you find relatable, and you then go through that yourself and create the character. So that kind of comes as a byproduct, I think. I don't think you can't actively
beg for the audience to love you.
You can't sort of manipulate how they're going to feel about the truth.
Right.
You can just tell it, and just
And
their
everybody
reactions
loves
will
a
come.
bad boy, you know.
The truth comes out.
How different is
Okay, so were both of you big fans of the original movie, The Omen? And if so, or whether or not you were fans, did you draw from that in building your characters for Damien?
First?
Sure.
Yes, and yes. No, I'm not going to do that too. I was, and one of the things I liked is my favorite kind of horror is character-based horror. That's reality-based horror, because if you care about the people, if you relate to the people, then you care about what happens, and therefore you're very frightened. The Exorcist is a great example of that. They spend a lot of the beginning of the movie getting into just this little girl, her life, and, you know. I love that about The Omen, is that kind of film. And that was one of the things that got me, was when Glenn said, yeah, we're honoring that. We're not doing effects or anything. This is about these human beings who these things happen to. And so that was very important to me to hear that.
I love the film, think it's great, and I'd seen it a couple of times before we got going, and it provides the first 5 years of the backstory for Damien. So in that respect, I was able to use that.
Some people have said to me, do you get this a lot? People say, I don't know if you've heard this, but people say, how has he forgotten where he was, that little boy with the knowledge at the end of the film? And I wanted to bring it up because I wanted to say the human part of him, because he's half human, just like Christ was half human. The human part of him blanked it out. He couldn't deal with it and blanked it out. And yet he was always drawn to these places where pain was, like war and things like that. And it always pushed away those little things that would enter his head.
Also, there's stuff when I was 5 that I don't remember.
Loads, yeah, well, yeah. But, you know, that is a phenomenon of human beings that you can...
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that, maybe to answer that question for people who are asking that.
Someone just asked me earlier on that too, so that's
Yeah,
why I
yeah.
said that. We're like,
Why
yeah,
they're-
that's a good point. Why did he forget?
Yeah.
Okay.